Great. Okay, good. So you guys thought the last session was slow. Imagine trying to torrent a movie and Hadi's trying to cut off your connection. That's a lot worse. Okay. Bad joke. Okay, so let's get started with heat. So if any of you guys were at the AGM or the workshop, you guys probably have seen some of this stuff. But still, it's a good idea to do this. It's a very powerful tool. So just a quick overview of what we'll be doing. And then I'll show you a WordPress demo. So first we'll do it through the command line, and then we'll do it through the GUI. And then there's two challenges for you guys, which was documented in the handout. One of them is auto-scaling. So you have some kind of deployment, and then based on some kind of metric, you want to increase the number of servers or maybe decrease it. And then the other one is have a deployment across multiple regions. So those two. So what I'll do is I'll walk you through heat. I'll do some examples, and then the rest of the time you guys can work on it, follow through the handout, and then I'll be around, and then some of the other guys will help you if you have issues.
So again, like the previous session, you have limited time. So whatever you finish during that time, you finish. The rest of it you can do it in your own during this couple of days that you're here. Just to get you familiar with where to start and what to expect. Okay? So go ahead.
Yep. Okay, so just quickly, what is orchestration? So orchestration is the management of the life cycle of resources. So it says provisioning, configuration, modification, deletion. Then this could be VMs, it could be networks, storage devices, anything. And what is Heat? So Heat is the main project in the OpenStack orchestration program. And basically it implements an orchestration engine through which you can launch different kinds of clouds. And these clouds can again have be composed of different resources. So you can have different compute resources, different networking resources. And the key idea here is that you specify this cloud using a template file. And this allows for reusability. There are three main components. So some of this stuff you guys don't really need to know, but it's good to kind of have some idea. So first is the client. So the client is something that you typically interface with. And this is what talks with the API. The second is the API directly. And this is what talks to the engine. And the engine is what's actually creating the cloud. So you give it some sort of specification. This is typically a template file. And then based on that, it will create the cloud that you want. Yeah, so the API supports things like create a cloud, delete a cloud, list a cloud, modify a cloud, etc. Okay, so real quickly, this is what a template file looks like, and it's written in the YAML format. So you have something. So it's very. If some of you guys haven't seen YAML, it's very similar to the way JSON works. It's a data storage format, so you have different keys, and so you declare parameters, and then you can have resources, and in resources you declare the different kind of resources you would have. So yeah, this is what it looks like, and there's 4 top-level keys in a template file. So the first one is the Heat template version. This is a required field, and this tells you what version you're working with. The different versions support different features. The second one is the description key. This is typically optional, but it's a good idea to have so people know, or in the future what you created that template for. The third one is parameters. Again, this is also optional, so maybe you have something in your template that you want to be specific to different users or different deployments. So that thing you can specify as a parameter. And then finally you have resources. These are required, and these are things that are actually being created. So servers, networks, storage devices, etc. So let me just show you a quick example of a template file. Okay, so this is a template file for a WordPress deployment. So what this creates is it creates a WordPress server and it configures it to run WordPress, and then it creates a database server and then it configures it to run MySQL. So as you can see, there's a specification for the Heat template version. The next thing you have is description. And description is just a string that tells you what the template file creates. The next thing you have are parameters, and you can have different kinds of parameters. So the way you define a parameter is you say the name of the parameter, which is this, the key name. Then you have type. Type would be string, and you can have description. And then there's other fancy things you can do with this. So you can have constraints on it. So if you want to restrict that value to some specific value, you can put constraints on those. And there's different kinds of constraints. So you can either say it could be an allowed value, or you can have a constraint where you match your regular expression. We're using something like this. So these are just different declarations for different parameters. And then finally you have resources. Again, in resources you can have different kinds of resources. So here I'm declaring a security group. And a security group, in this case, it has a few keys. So it has the type. The type says what exactly it is, which I just said. And this comes from a list of resources that's supported by Heat. So I'll show you a link where it has all the comprehensive list of all the resources. And then you have to specify properties. So the properties are name, description, and then there's typically some things that are specific to the type of resource. So in this case, because this is a security group, you can specify the different protocols that you'd be supporting, and if you're opening ports, so you can specify a range, and if you only want to open one port, then you just say the min and the max are the same value. Yeah, so this basically opens port 22, so you can do SSH, and then also opens port 80, so you can have a web server running, and then you can listen to it. I mean, it can listen to requests. And then if you look over here, so we define key name. If you guys remember, we define key name as a parameter, and over here, this file substitutes the parameter that you specify over here. So what ends up happening is when the Heat runs this, based on the parameter you specify, it'll substitute that value in. So you have a unique template almost based on what was specified. So does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, so maybe I'll just do a quick example with the WordPress. Okay, so what we're going to create is create this sort of cloud. It's going to have two servers. The first server is going to be running Apache, and it's going to be serving a WordPress deployment. And then the other VM is going to be used as a database. And then the user is going to talk to the WordPress server, and then it's going to talk to the database. Okay, so what we need to do is, so first I can see what my key pairs I have. So I'm going to use this key pair, key span then. And then hopefully most of you guys have seen or done something like this. Has anyone not seen this? Like seeing your list of key pairs? Okay. So I just set that variable, and then next what I'll do is I'll run this command. So I do heat stack create. Can everyone see this actually? Yeah. and then I do heat stack create, then I give it the name of the stack itself, and then -F for the file I want to give it. So I give it the WordPress file that I just opened for you guys, and then -P and then the parameter name. So remember there was a parameter for key name, and then this I've specified over here. And so it'll substitute that value into the template and then instantiate the template based on that value.
So it creates two virtual machines for you?
Yeah, this template, yeah.
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 How did you put the correlation between two virtual machines in your YAML file? For example, if in this configuration of the WordPress, you need to talk with your database, and for that one you need the IP. Is it possible to put it in the heat and the YAML file?
Yeah, exactly. So we actually end up doing so. Let me actually just open that up for you. So if you look here. Yeah, see, so there is a parameter we declare here, DB IP address, okay? And the way this is, so this is linking to the get, so there is some utility function provided. One of them is get attribute. So when you do something like this is referencing the database server, which is this declaration here, right?
So it's point to a virtual machine. Which
exactly.
means that
well, the virtual machine doesn't exist, but it's saying the virtual machine that will be created based on this.
Yeah, I know.
Over here, so this is this name, right? So over here, database server,
okay.
And then over here, and then it says get attribute, the first address. The first address is typically associated with ETH0.
Local IP address.
Yeah.
And the first address is defined by you, or it's
so the first address is like it's just the name for it. So you always use first address.
No, I mean that because it gets the attribute, okay, from that actually variable. The database server is the name of variable that you create for your virtual machine. And the first address is what you
but first address I didn't define. This is the fixed name for the IP
How about
address.
if, for example, I want to get the this will return the local IP address. How about that if, for example, it has 2 or 3 IP addresses? How can I get them?
Yeah, so I think for those ones,
second address, for example.
Yeah, it might be second address. So I think look through the documentation. I'm not 100% sure.
It's actually through the networks attributes, which is the list.
Okay.
Networks is another key value list where you can ask for public network. And the first one there under this key is the public address.
Okay, so it's another attribute, for example.
Yes. So first address is sort of like a shortcut to the IP that you would actually mostly need.
The local.
And everything else is accessed through another more intricate level of attributes.
Okay.
If you look under the Nova server documentation for the heat resource, for that particular resource, you get all the attributes that you can access and how.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Okay. So let's just look at a list of stacks. Okay. So as you can see over here, it's showing create failed, which is not what should have happened.
The location of created virtual machine is specified in the YAML file. I'm not which node we want to use.
Yeah, it typically it's on the node that you're on currently.
So you cannot, for example, instantiate a VM in another edge.
You can, but then you need to specify it.
In the YAML
Yeah, if you
file.
don't specify anything, then by default it's the current node.
It's the card.
But it's possible.
Huh?
But it's possible.
But it's possible, yeah. But then that you need to specify externally. Okay, just give me 1 second. So it's complaining about being over quota for some things. As you can see, just showing it, it takes a while for it to boot up.
After this, what you want?
Well, I was gonna show them Portal,
Okay.
and then just let them do all these auto scaling.
So as that is booting, go show that portal.
Okay, sure.
Save.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So let's just move on to the next thing. So sometimes it takes a while to boot up. So we can do the exact same thing using the web portal. So if you guys can just go to portal.savvy testbed.ca. Okay, everyone able to go there, sign in, and then what you want to do is go to Orchestration.
It doesn't matter which page we have.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't have to create it now. In the next few steps, like I want you guys to work through the problem, then do it. Right now I'm just showing you guys. And then right now it shows me I have no stacks. And then what you want to do is go to launch stack button in the corner. And it'll open this for you. And then what you do is, in template URL you can put, so this template, it's all in the handout, so just follow along right now.
A lot of us don't have access to the handout.
Oh no? Okay. Yeah.
Just send request access.
What's wrong with it?
You need permission.
You're gonna get a lot of email.
Sorry.
No, it's
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you guys that in 2 minutes. And then you just basically put a template URL here.
It's protected, we cannot.
And then this can be, so this is just hosted on GitHub. So you put the URL in here. And then it'll take you through this page. And here you need to specify all these parameters. So this would be the stack name, the password, which is a parameter, I guess, the key name, which we specified when we did -p. So same thing here. And then you can do launch, and then we'll create the stack for you. So again, so yeah, you can do the same sort of things through portal or through the command line.
Everything is supported on command line, supported on portal for this.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so create complete. Okay, so the stack was completed successfully. Now what I'm going to run is this command heat stack show WordPress website URL. So what this basically does is it says, show me for this stack, WordPress stack, the output variable called website URL. So this was the website URL is again defined in the template file. So I think it'll be very helpful. Okay, maybe that's not. Sorry. Yeah, so it was the output show. So it shows me this is the address of the WordPress. And as you can see, it takes me to the WordPress installation page. So you know everything went successfully. Okay, so just the next thing we're going to do now is, yeah, so we saw that. Yeah, so just to summarize, so we saw how to create a deployment. And what you need for that is you need to have a template file. You need to specify whatever parameters the template file requires, and then based on that you can use Heat to create that deployment. And then you can use things like output show to see what the output is. So just again, if I open the template file, so over here at the bottom I define something called outputs, and in the outputs I define this thing, website URL. And this is the output that I ask for when I run this command over here. When I run heat output show WordPress website URL.
And you want everything in the value part?
Yeah, exactly. So I specify what the output should be.
Okay.
In the template itself. And then that gives me that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to delete the stack. So to do that, the command is heat stack delete. So you just do. And then it'll show you delete in progress. So I already showed you guys the thing through the portal. Okay. So now the question is, what can I do with Heat? So Heat can be used to orchestrate any resources that the system offers. So in this case, you have compute resources, you have networking resources, you have storage resources, you can do things with images, and you can write your own custom resource adapters. So if you have your own resources, so for instance, in our lab, we have FPGA resources that OpenStack natively doesn't support, so you can write adapters for those. So Heat can work with those. And then if you go to this page, you can see the whole list of all of the resources that's supported, and it supports like a lot of them. So you have resources for Barbican, which is for security and stuff. You have resources related to Salameter, which is for telemetry. You have resources for Cinder.
About further in this process, they started to doing the tutorial.
Yeah, they should. But my thing is the permission on it's weird. Hold on.
So guys, please continue doing for the rest of the workshop. Heat, follow the manual like before, okay? And then you have like half an hour to do whatever you can do, and the rest you could do it on your own, okay? And after half an hour, we move on to another subject. So I want to expose you as much as possible to other stuff, okay? Half an hour, play with, continue doing the workshop on Heat.
Okay, guys. So whoever was having issues, can you just try accessing the document again? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Again, in groups, so to get most of it.
Yeah.
And each group needs 2 VMs, kind of, I guess 2-3 VMs, so we should be fine. If you have extra VMs, then you can delete this.
Yeah, it should be on the page.